Hi, everyone. Welcome. I wanted to talk today about how do you sell products that how do you sell out of products by creating compelling displays? I think it's so important as we go into what is really the Super Bowl of spring season. There are a lot of different events that are coming up from Mother's Day, it's prom season, graduation, also Father's Day. And so this is a time when there are a lot of products that are sold. So if you're in the retailing space, this is where you want to be. This is all about what is going to compel those clients to buy more from you. How do you stand out from the competition? We're going to talk about product, promotion, price, place, those 4 Ps that many of us are familiar with in regards to our marketing. So first thing is you got to dive right into the brand equity. You want to make sure that you have spent a lot of time understanding what is the vision, what is the mission, what is the values of your company. I think it's so important that you think about the target audience that you're going to be marketing to. There's so many different clients. Not every client is your ideal client. You want to think about just the demographics of like, where do they live? What's their gender, their occupation? What's their religion, their race? Even in 2023, we got to think about what's their political beliefs. But it's also important from a psychographic perspective to think about their fears and goals. So in this example that I will use, this is someone who wants to live a healthier lifestyle. They want to de-stress in their business. They want to save money. They want to, find the ability to be more present, spend more time with their kids. And so the way that I am going to market products to someone who is retired versus someone who was a college student is going to look completely different. So understanding their fears and goals, but also understanding a little bit about their culture. I remember there was a brand I was working for, and we put a product out and it was purple. And it was blowing out in many parts of the country. But what we found is in some parts in cultures, purple means royalty. And so for them to have on that purple bracelet or watch was very attractive to them. But then in other cultures, the color purple means death. And so because of that, in those pockets of the US, we were not able to sell it. So it's important for you to understand, who are you marketing your products to? You want to make sure that the brand, the logo is consistent on the day of the event, whether it's your store, someone's coming into your restaurant, or maybe it's a pop-up event, farmers market festival that you are doing. Have a banner that has a lot of branding on it, as well as your contact information, maybe a QR code that takes them right to your website. Have a tablecloth or a runner down the tablecloth. I want you to also think about having some type of music. Anytime I would do events in the past, music is always a great way to bring people in. But again, it needs to make sure it ties back to your brand. If you are a wellness brand, you do not want to have some heavy metal, hip hop type of music. You want to have something that's a little bit more subtle, that creates that spirit of calm and zen. So you might think about classical music or jazz. If you're going to have candy on the table, listen, candy is a great way to distract kids. It's a great way to make a compelling display. So if someone has a goal of eating healthier, maybe you have a sugar-free version of a candy. Do you see how who your brand is, the personality of who your brand is so important? I would suggest before you do any type of event, just make a checklist. Understand what you're going to do a few days before the event so you don't forget anything. The last thing you want to show up to an event and you forgot your payment processing system and you have no way to take payments. So make a checklist. Talk about on the checklist what you're going to do the day of, and even what you're going to do after, to make sure that there is a process in place so that you're able to retain those customers. One thing is, when you're thinking about setting up your displays, have a common theme. Listen, if you're getting ready to go into the spring season, you want some flowers here in this picture. It evokes an emotion. There's a theme of wellness. You think about someone journaling, you think about a candle. They're creating this environment when you walk into their booth or in their skin studio or even in their actual store. But the flowers, it all helps to create this emotion conversation with your potential consumer. You want to make sure that your best sellers are placed in a prime location on the table. You know that's the bread and butter of your business. So make sure that it's out. Make sure that people understand what's new. Maybe they've been on your website or they've seen you highlighting product on social media. So talk about what is new. Make sure that you have pricing. You don't want to have to keep stopping critical sales conversations that you're having with customers because they're asking, how much does this cost? How much does that cost? Be transparent with your pricing. Have a pricing sheet. If you have a food truck, have a little chalkboard so someone understands what the prices are. Have lighting. Make sure that you're somewhere where there is not a distraction of lighting, that it's not shaded and they're not able to see if you're selling jewelry, how it will look. If you're someone who is selling anything that is wearable, I want you to think about sunglasses, hats, shirts. You want to make sure makeup. You want to make sure that you have the ability to have product or mirrors so people can see what it looks like. I remember I was at in Kentucky, and we were at visiting the Kentucky Derby, and there was a vendor there that was selling fascinators, the hats that are worn during the Kentucky Derby. She made sure that she had such a beautiful display with all of these beautiful colored fascinators, but she had a mirror. You will lose sales if you have wearable products and that person cannot see what it looks like on them. You want to make sure on the day of the event that you're not hiding. Like the location of where you set up is important, and you want to try and negotiate that very important critical space. There's no greater way than not being in a good location that someone won't be able to see you. So negotiate that up front, but don't hide. Where your product is, where your table is, where your booth is will matter on the day of, but where you are will also matter. People want to do business with you. Maybe they've been following you on social media, or they've read your blog, they've been on your website, but now at this event, you get to meet them one-on-one and really provide this very human side and softer side of your business. Think about, will you need electricity? Is there somewhere that you need to have access to water? I think about if you have skincare, you got this great sugar scrub and you're demoing it on people. Have some type of wipes there if water isn't available, but something that they're able to wash it off of their hands. Wi-Fi, you want to make sure for your payment processing that you have access to Wi-Fi. You can put all of these things on your checklist so you can think about them. Don't be concerned about being too salesy or too pushy. I've heard people say that. Listen, you are there to sell, 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 and that person there is there to buy, buy, buy. So you want to make sure that you are talking about your products, demo the product, maybe have an iPad where you can show videos of customers using your product. I want you to think about that if you were out with a friend and that friend gets a cut, you will have a Band-Aid. You have this Band-Aid. You don't hesitate to give that person that Band-Aid. I want you to think about your products like that. They are solving problems for your potential consumers. So don't hesitate to tell everyone about what it is that you are selling. Your product's the solution that they need. There's something on that table that's going to help someone sleep through the night. That's going to help someone de-stress their life. And if their goal is to spend more time with their family, they're in the right place. There's something on that table that's going to help someone deal with their pain. So whether they're just browsing or they're just looking, talk to them about your products. Find a way to pull them in. Again, the music that you play really needs to go back to the brand that you have. You want to use color. I love here how we have this soft palette of neutrals and the soft pink and the rose gold. You want to evoke emotion. So you want to make sure that if you are highlighting, let's say, fall seasonal newness, or you're highlighting something for Mother's Day, that you can use like soft pinks and pastels as you go into the spring season, or in the fall, you're using more of those harvest jewel tones like oranges and dark greens, or also like a deep red. So it all ties back to, what is your theme? What is your brand? You want to make sure that you do not just do something that is not consistent with your brand. You want to keep your area clean. You want to have a focal area where you're pinpointing where your product is. You don't want to have a whole bunch of props on the table where someone's not even able to see the actual product. So make sure that you're not having a mishmash of stuff on yourself. Curate your assortment for that day. You don't have to bring everything. Really, what you want to do is create what I call scarcity. I will walk by, if I see somebody having a lot of product out, I'm like, oh, they're going to have a lot. I'll come back through, and maybe I will, or maybe I won't. But when you have just a few items, it creates this demand. It creates this, it feels special versus having everything maxed out, like if you're in an outlet store. So you want to make sure that you keep it very special. In regards to your pricing, you want to make sure that you do a special pricing. I remember when I was at the Miami Book Fair and I was able to have my book, I did a bundle of my book and my journal. So think about bundling two items together, items that complement one another. Also have your pricing round numbers so that you're not trying to figure out all this financial equations while you're sitting there trying to sell. As you talk about your product, talk about the features of your product, but you want to make sure that you're talking layman's term. Features in and of themselves do not have any inherent value. It's only when we talk about what is the benefit of that feature. What do I mean? Here's an example. If I have this skincare product, I'm like, it has vitamin C and hyaluronic serum and vitamin E, and I won't know what that is as a consumer. But if you tell me vitamin C helps to have that, helps to brighten the skin, helps to hydrate the skin, really brings life back in the skin after you've come through the winter season and the temperatures have been very cold and the air is very dry. Oh, then I understand what you're talking about. So you want to make sure that you have everything there that day to sell. Think about, as people are coming to the table, what are they looking at first? What draws their attention? What are they buying? But also, what are they not buying? I love to do these hindsight sessions with my clients to understand what worked well that day, what didn't work well that day, what are some sales highlights, some marketing highlights. Understand, hey, how did you hear about us? That will clue you in on, was it Instagram or Google or whatever the modality was of how they got to you that day. So again, this is a time of year, there's a lot of products being sold, a lot of gifts being bought, and you want to make sure that you are standing out. Make sure that you have everything on that day to be able to sell. But most important, have fun. Normally when you're doing an event, it's a long day. You want to hydrate before. Put that on your list. You want to make sure that you're hydrating, that you're sleeping well. When you get there early. Don't be stressed. Sell to the vendors that are there first, because I have found I always sell to vendors in the beginning. At the end, people are tired, they're hungry, they're rushing, and you might lose that sale. So sell to people in the beginning, but that requires you getting there early. Listen, listen, listen. Valuable information happens when you're able to interact with consumers one-on-one. So make sure that you are listening. We are here to support you. If you want to go on our website, dpi2.com, feel free to book a discovery call with us so we can talk about some of the campaigns that you want to launch as we go into the further in the year. We are here to support you as your business consultants. We really help you get that clarity. You have these ideas, let's get it down on paper. Have a wonderful rest of the afternoon, morning, or evening, depending on when you are watching this. And thank you for listening. Make sure if you like what you see, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel.